people who change industries are usually the people willing to stay uncomfortable a little bit longer than anyone else.
Fifth annual NEO 2026 Medical Innovation Olympics. Historic moment, New York City. Rockefeller Center. Ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. Whoa. Make wishes come. I'd like to officially welcome all of you, distinguished leaders gathered here today in person as well as virtually. We're gathered here today because we want to drive impact that extends beyond our company, but also on our society, on the industry, and on patients. And so this event is not one where we're looking for competitors to provide 5-minute impressions, but long-term impact for generations to come. We're seeking healthcare champions.
Today we gather not just to compete, but to collaborate, to push the boundaries of innovation and redefine what is possible in healthcare.
This is just not another conference. It doesn't feel like another conference. This is a competition with purpose. It's innovation alongside accountability, and it's also leadership with that sense of urgency. Because I believe the Olympic spirit behind this event matters more than ever before, especially in the times we live in.
Now, it's truly my pleasure to hand the floor to Chris Cook. He's a double Olympian swimmer, as I mentioned. He's been a consultant for Microsoft, for large enterprises, currently a consultant at Wondrous as well as for the UK government, NHS UK. True friend, supporter of this event, board member at Amadea Pharma, and he's here to inspire all of us. Chris, take it away.
Tim, thank you so much. It's a real honor to be here today at the Medical Innovation Olympics, and even more exciting that we're now looking at an opportunity as our community grows. It's a real movement. I can feel it starting to build. But what's a real honor is standing alongside innovators, scientists, clinicians, entrepreneurs, investors, ultimately leaders with one united goal: to improve lives. We've heard some great words said already, but that's what we're really here for. I'd love to thank Tim, just to start off with, just for inviting me to be part of this. I feel incredibly lucky, feel incredibly blessed. So thank you so much. I've been involved since the very first stages, and to see it grow and evolve into what it is today and where it's going to go is really exciting. What you've built here, Tim, is just truly unique. Because this is just not another conference. It doesn't feel like another conference. This is a competition with purpose. It's innovation alongside accountability, and it's also leadership with that sense of urgency. Because I believe the Olympic spirit behind this event matters more than ever before, especially in the times we live in. So as part of this keynote, I want to just share 3 key areas. I'd love to share a little bit of my own Olympic journey and what sport has taught me. I'd love to share some insights from elite performance and what it can maybe cross over with the healthcare innovation side of things. And lastly, why this generation of innovators has a responsibility bigger than just the business. My journey as an Olympian is a bit of a unique one. I don't come from an area full of Olympians. I'm pretty much the only person in my small town, hometown in South Shields in the northeast of England. And I didn't just become an Olympian because I was gifted. Far from it. My journey was fraught with difficulty, unpredictable moments, times of that were incredibly painful, if I'm being honest. There were setbacks, failures, moments where quitting would have been much easier. I'm sure I'm resonating with a few people in the crowd listening. But as an athlete, you spend so many years preparing for moments that may only last seconds. My main event, lasted less than a minute, 59 seconds. And most people only see the final performance. That's what you kind of get judged on. But they don't see the sacrifices behind it. As a swimmer, they don't see the 4:30 a.m. start. 4:30 a.m. start. They don't see the injuries, the doubts that you carry. Often the loneliness, the lonely miles that you put in, and the pressure that often comes with it. But sport and competition teaches us very quickly this: high performance is not glamorous. It's repetitive, it's disciplined, it's relentless, and excellence is rarely built on those big moments. It's built on those small decisions repeated consistently over time. In 2002, I missed out on a major games in my home country. You ask any athlete, they all want to compete in their home country because of the home crowd. And I missed out by 4/100ths of a second. That's pretty much the smallest gap you can make between your finger and thumb. I came home devastated. I took a 3-week break, maybe a month break, and I tried to avoid watching the games altogether. But I failed at that as well. I watched every single second of it. I was glued to it. And at that moment in time, sat at home watching the games, feeling like I could have been there. I had a cocktail of emotions during that period of time. And after watching the games, I started to get back into the next 4-year cycle. And I sat my coach down and I said, what does the next 4 years look like for us? And his response shocked me and taught me a lesson. He said, I don't know, Chris, but you're not good enough yet. That 3-letter word placed in the sentence in the right place with the right motivation completely changed the way I started to view my preparation, yet became quite a positive opportunity to step into that space. 4 years later, my story became very different. I picked up the pen and wrote a very different script. I didn't just make the games. I dominated at the games and took 2 gold medals and a silver. And I laid down a time that was still in the record books for a long period of time after that. You see, if you're a competitor, we think differently. We respond differently. We turn up differently. And that is exactly why events like this today are really important. They give us all the chance to be better than we were yesterday through engaging through competition. But what I've learned in my time is that Olympians see possibility where others in the world want to see the proof. And that is why innovators, that is exactly what innovators do too. Before every world-changing innovation, there was once somebody said to them, no, that won't work. Or that's slightly unrealistic. Or what are you thinking? Or that's way too ambitious. All of these things have been said in earshot when I shared my goals, my dreams, my aspirations. Yet the people who change industries are usually the people willing to stay uncomfortable a little bit longer than anyone else. Tim talks a lot about raising standards in healthcare and creating a culture of measurable impact. That mindset mirrors elite performance exactly, because Olympians live in measurement. Everything's pretty much measured, from milliseconds or recovery, technical elements that you perform, execution, that all important word consistency, but not because measurement creates pressure. It's because it's the clarity that creates the improvement, and that's the key. Healthcare is entering a moment where clarity really matters. We're seeing technology driving that, AI, data science, precision medicine. All of these technologies are super powerful, but technology alone can't do it. It's not enough. What we really need, and the differentiator, is that leadership. And that's what kind of brings us here today. The real differentiator is whether people are willing to change old systems and rethink what's possible. In elite sport, there is, well, I see it, there is one truth you cannot escape. You're accountable for the outcomes. Every time I touch the wall at the end of a race, I realized that the clock does not lie. I wanted a different result sometimes, but the scoreboard displays the results of your performance. In healthcare, outcomes matter too. Lives matter, patients matter, families matter, and trust matters. The reason I admire what we're doing in this community is because the mission is bigger than innovation for innovation's sake. And that's really important. This movement is about advancing access, quality, continuity of care. These are not just abstract ideas, they're human issues that we see on a daily basis. There's somebody waiting for treatment, there's someone hoping for more time, and there's somebody dependent on a better system. And that changes the whole meaning of our leadership and what we're trying to do. But before I start to kind of come to an end and wrap up, I want to leave you with 3 key things that have been powerful lessons in my journey as an Olympian. The first one is pressure is a privilege. often pressure and stress is mentioned as a bit of a bad word, but pressure means that moment actually matters. If your work carries some level of responsibility, that means your work has some kind of meaning too. And pressure is actually a privilege in that vein. Number 2, consistency beats intensity. I say this all the time to my children. Small actions repeated daily outperform occasional brilliance. I'll say that again. Small actions repeated daily outperform occasional brilliance. Swimmers know this more than anyone because daily habits build the dream. That's what they do. My coach used to say that every day. Daily habits build your dream. The third one, great teams outperform great individuals every time. I may be the face of the performance as an Olympian, but there was a huge team effort helped me get there. And I only deserve a tiny slice of that medal when I get to stand on a podium. But to the competitors, to everyone presenting today, everyone who's stepping forward, stepping out of that comfort zone, I've just got massive respect. Innovation requires vulnerability. It does. It takes courage to share new ideas publicly. It takes courage to be evaluated. It takes courage to compete. And whether you win or not, as Tim mentioned earlier before, the willingness to enter the room separates you from the rest of your competition. Because too many people stay comfortable. Too many people stay silent. Too many people sit on their ideas. But progress belongs to the people willing to participate. So I just want to leave you with one final message, one final thought. Olympians spend years chasing fractions of improvement because they understand something important. Tiny improvements change outcomes, and healthcare works exactly the same. One better system, one better workflow, one faster diagnosis, one improved treatment pathway, one breakthrough idea. These things compound over time and eventually change lives at scale. And that's why work matters. And that's why this innovation event matters. And that is why leadership in this era requires courage, collaboration, and relentless belief in possibility. So I'd like you all to encourage you to think bigger, challenge harder, and collaborate deeper, and never forget the human being at the center of every innovation. Tim, thank you so much for inviting me along. I just want to say thank you very much for being involved. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. I want to ask you, first of all, if you're open to any questions. Chris will be here, as I mentioned, in October 16th, so you'll get a chance to meet him in person. I'm really excited about that. But Chris, I want to first ask you about that. Are you open to any questions at all, or yes?
Absolutely,
sure,
yeah.
From anyone. Let's see if since it is a very rare opportunity. So anyone have any questions or comments? Well, you know what? I'll tell you one thing that your comments made me think about. We talk a lot about healthcare champions, and there are a lot of healthcare champions who perform a lot of those repetitive and not the most desirable types of tasks in the healthcare industry, such as in safety and pharmacovigilance and product quality, for example. And I've talked to executives in product quality who tell me, you know what, this department is one that everyone avoids at all costs because they don't want to, make sure that that they're flagged, right? And the problem is the incentives and how the perceptions of a lot of these champions, healthcare champions, who are not seen. And we want to just provide them with the exposure through this event. And I think that's what I thought a lot about as you discussed that, that being a champion is, it takes a lot of work and a lot of discipline. And a lot of it is not seen often. It's glorified.
Yeah, I think to kind of just to build on that, Tim, when you're chasing a goal and you're chasing a dream, it's not necessarily the destination that is the thing that you really come away with. So, for example, when I stood on a podium and I won medals and I heard the national anthem being played and I watched the flag being raised, it was really cool and I arrived at that moment. But the thing I've realized in my time, actually, the real gold is not the thing you put around the neck. The real gold is the person you become in the pursuit of it. It's the things you go through as an athlete, as an innovator, as somebody who's breaking new ground. It's what you go through in that moment which really separates you, and you get to take you everywhere. And this is the key here. I've moved into various different areas away from elite sport, and I've brought all of that stuff into the new work that I get to do, because that fingerprint that I've got is unique. It's unique to me. Yours is unique to you. And when you go through such a profound experience of chasing something that is bigger than you, we change. And that's really important.
Thank you. I saw somebody, maybe we'll take one question here. Srinivasan Krishnan, who is our expert judge and speaker as well, upcoming panel.
Chris, thank you very much for your talk. I don't know much about the others, but this is my first virtual interaction with an Olympian speaker. Yes, I truly look forward to meeting you in person when you do come down.
Cool.
What I did want to say was, during the times when things are not working, right? Because when you're in the doldrums, what picks you up? Because as an innovator, as someone who's working in the healthcare industry, not every experiment is going to be a success. How do you pick up when you're down to the doldrums to kind of focus on where you need to be and get there?
Great question. Thank you for that. And I'm happy to be your first Olympian. This is great. This is amazing. Thank you. A couple of things in this. One thing is, I think we used to go at training and we used to go at competitions on the lead up to big events like it's just an experiment. Now, by definition, experiments can't fail. They just show you results. It's what you do with those results which determines whether it passes or fails in your eyes. There's also two different levels to how we keep ourselves. You mentioned the word motivation, how we keep ourselves motivated. Firstly, I split it up into two key areas. One, inspiration. So my inspiration was like my North Star. I wanted to stand on the podium and win a gold medal for Great Britain at the Olympics. And that was my North Star. That was always there. Even on a cloudy day when I couldn't see the North Star, it was still there. I still had aspirations of being there. There was some days it was really bright. Some days I couldn't see it. Some days it was out of sight and I couldn't almost find it. The second part to that is, and we've got to be really clear about our inspiration. Why do we start in the first place? What's our why? The second part of that is motivation. And this is where I feel like even a lot of athletes get this wrong. They see motivation as something that should just stay with you all the way through. And it doesn't. It just doesn't. It's very fluid. It's very transient. It changes. It can often change on a daily basis, minute by minute basis. There were some times I would have to drag myself out of bed at 4:30 in the morning to do yet another session, another 6 hours of training in that day. And there were other days that I jumped out of bed because there was just this energy and this motivation from nowhere. And if I could bottle that, I think I'd be a very, very rich person indeed. But my point here is it's about acknowledging what is motivating you in that moment, what is demotivating you and changing it or eradicating it or moving out the way, but always keeping connection with that inspiration as you're going. And the last part I would say is don't be frightened to look over your shoulder and reflect, because that is where we have a lot of our revelation moments, checking how far you've come. Most people just keep looking ahead. And actually, we've got to take a little bit of stock and press pause and look over our shoulder and see how far we've come, because that's where our confidence can be built from. If we constantly look at the gap between where we are and where we want to be, we can often demotivate ourselves by accident.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great question.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Chris, for that discussion. I know you're going to probably stick around a little bit, right? Maybe catch one of the competitors you mentioned.
100%. Thanks.
Competitors. The other bonus here is that you get a chance to compete in front of not only your peers in healthcare, but also in front of Olympians. So, yes. All right. So before we kick it off to our previous gold medalists, and we've had an Olympian here. So I think we need some Olympic inspiration and music as well. Okay. And as well as a 30-second clip from our former IOC president, Thomas Bach.
What's changed in the meantime is the growing appreciation of the power of sport as a force for good in society. This power of sport is no longer confined to abstract theory. Today, sport is accepted by policymakers, business and civil society as a transformative tool that can improve people's lives in tangible ways.